Here I am at New Carlton Burial Ground, and look on that door. What I said, look, it's got the. That's all it is braille on that door. We just don't understand what it means. You know what I mean? They do. They more than likely swap it around a little bit. You know, you got to move two to the left, two to the right. But straight away, look, I'm just in the graveyard, and straight away we're seeing the obelisks. Look, can you see the obelisk? I don't know. I can't even see it because I'm bloody blinded. But you can see the obelisks. Look at the Pharaohs. And those, and this is 1858, that little thing there that's got 1858. But again, look, you can see the Masonic urn from Rome. Oh, look at them look at them square campuses. That pissed me right off. You know what I mean? But you know, all these pyramids. But we're now going to get some views in here, and hopefully just give you an idea, you know, of the wealth and the power these people have took to their graves, and none of it has been put back into the community. It's only put into the benefit of them, the lords, the dukes and the earls. You know, look at the granite here, look. See the pyramid, look, see? All of this is your rich lords, dukes and earls, and they've took all the wealth and the power to the grave with them. Alexander Bell, I wonder if he's related to the old Bell End, you know, whatever his name is, you know. You've got the pyramid there, I don't know if you can see it, look, but there'll be plenty of freak masons here, look, and they took that wealth and that power. These will be lords, dukes and earls in here. You know, you're not getting that, you know, like under there, look, we got, you know what I mean, that's not no little profane person that's worked in a corner shop, do you know what I mean, mucking out the donkeys at the thingamajiggy-wug, you know. But yeah, it's the power. There it is, King Arthur's seat, see? But here, in these tombs, as you can see, we're seeing plenty of pharaohs with the obelisks, look. See it there? And the little Masonic urns. See that? This is all freak masonry, and they don't understand it. You know what I mean? Look, the big urn on there, look. How much money do you reckon these graves? That's 1834, that one there, look. And then right behind here, we just go to this piece here. Again, look how many obelisks are here. That's because you're near the royal palace, you see. See it background here, look. See, you're not seeing them for nothing. Right. Hello, how are you? Having a great day? Now watch it, you can get 500-600 quid fine now for picking blackberries.
Can you?
And you've seen it in the news, yeah.
No. What's that?
That's the latest in the paper. You start picking blackberries, they can fine you 300 or 400 quid.
I'll take the chance.
That's what I would do, and I'll bugger them. I'll get them in a headlock and go into prison.
No, they're pretty tasty.
Yeah, good. I don't blame you, mate. You know, but like I said, they're now fining people. How can they get away with that? Do you know what I mean? Crazy. You know who's doing it, don't you? And look, you see the obelisks? Look, with the there and over there, look, all from Egypt, look.
Yeah.
All of that, that's what's doing it. This one here, look, you see?
Yeah.
What's Egypt got to do with Scotland?
I don't know.
Because the pharaohs came over from here, you know, with the Romans and all of that.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that control all the towns and the cities, you see? These are all lords, dukes and earls, lads, you know, they bashed all the peasants, took the land, put their people on it.
Oh, there's a lot of control, I know.
Oh yeah, mate. When they want us thinned out, they make a war. You know, and they use people like Churchill, Wellington, I don't know, whoever else they need to put up front, you know. Look at that cross there, you see it there? Knights Templar. I mean, what sort of pharaoh would live in the, you know, with this here? That's Rome, innit? You see what I'm saying? How many obelisks have I just shown you? Look at the one at the bottom there, the white one that you see. It's crazy, isn't it? It's mad. Let's have a look at it. I bet it's got loads of square and calm piss on it. You know what I mean? But look at that big obelisk there. Now how much money they put into this? You know, how much money does that cost? It costs them nothing, because they are the grave diggers, remember that? They own the death industry, and all the money you can see here, when the profane buy their little gravestones, that then goes into their buying this for themselves, you see what I mean? But they more than likely get it for nothing. They don't even pay for it, do you know what I mean? You know, look, oh, here we go, see what I mean? Look, square and calm piss, the circle and square, the square and calm piss, and the pyramids, you see what I mean? Circle, square, pyramids. And again, this will be a rich family elite. Look, even above the, look, you've got the pyramid above. I can't see, got the sun in my eyes. There you go, look, see? A big pharaoh lives in there, I'll tell you now. Look at this little mini one, look. he must have been a little entered apprentice or something, you know what I mean, into the big ranks, of course. But you're not getting that for nothing. 1861, look. How much money would this have cost in 1861? You know what I mean? You imagine the money this cost to get this. Do you see what I mean? In them times, you imagine the money, yeah? How much wealth it took to get a gravestone like that. And these all in the background here, look, all them, look. They're all high-ranking lords, dukes and earls, look. Look at these obelisks, look. This is the people that run Edinburgh. All these families, and they still run them today. You know, all the obelisks, look. What do you think? Who do you think runs Edinburgh? These are the Pharaohs. The poem entitled Morality by William Knox is engraved in letters of gold on the walls of the Imperial Palace, which is over there, wherever that is, yeah, over there, yeah, over there. St. Peter's, whatever, and half of it's gone. Look, it was Abraham Lincoln. You see, this is how they're all, look, a favourite of the, maybe it's a favourite poem of Abraham Lincoln. So look that, you know, if you find favourite poem of Abraham Lincoln, you'll know what it is. Of his assassination, from the something assassination. Oh, why should the of mortality, and I can't read it. So you'll have to look it up, my profane friends. You know what I mean? But again, you know, you're getting the circle, you know, the branch of the stock of the great reformer, John Knox. Don't know what that means. The sun is set, and yet his light is lingering in the crimson sky, like memory, beautiful and bright, of holy men that die. The righteous shall be had in everlasting remembrance. And they believe that, you know what I mean? And that's the thing about it, you know. These people think they're done, you know. Oh, look, this monument was erected in loving admiration of the poet and his works by his grand nephew, which is the Grand Master, Thomas Lang, and of Calcutta and Bombay. You see, Calcutta and Bombay. And this, so you imagine already the heart of Zion, right, sacred to the memory of William Knox, eldest son of Thomas Knox, and his wife Barbara Turnbull of Firth, Roxburghshire, who died at Leith, 12th of November 1825, author of the Harp of Zion, etc. The lips that could warble a soul-moving strain are breathless and mute, as the, I don't know what it says, timbrel unstrung, cymbals tremble, and the hand of the minstrel something not again that sleeps where the flowers have sprung. But again, you know, all these poems and all that, it's all Masonic, you know. That's 1830, 1834. I mean, look at the power and the wealth just in the, you know, how many obelisks are in this bloody I don't know what it is. Is it a graveyard, or is it, you know, that's 1872. Now you imagine how much money in 1872 it cost to build these little units for these pharaohs. You know, did anything go back into the community? Of course it didn't. It didn't feed anyone, it didn't home anyone, it didn't do anything. You see what I mean? They just honour themselves. And it's funny and strange again, if you look, that the sites are three, look. Three on the wall, look, see? It's always in threes, you see? And all this granite, all the special places along the wall, yeah, for all these pharaohs and these grand masters and royal grand spectrates and all the rest of it they come out with. This is what you're dealing with. These are all Freemasons, all high ranking, all perverted. You know, look at this. I mean, what do you think of this? Who's this here? Look, you know, you've got two great big obelisks, look, yeah, and all their wealth and all their money they took with them in granite, in stone masonry. You know, I mean, it's been bashed now. Obviously, it's gone back many, many years. But look how they protected it. They haven't protected this for nothing. And this has more than likely been robbed of wealth anyway, you know. And there it is, the Glenlee Baronet. See, the barons, the lords, the dukes and the earls. And he was the William Miller, late Major Royal Horse Guard, you see. Second son of Patrick Miller, you see, Esquire of Basildwinton. Yeah, you know what I mean? And this is the families. These families are the ones that own the shops, control your neighbourhoods. Do you know what I mean? And these are the people. You know, this is what it is. This is where their wealth go. You see? You know, look. How much does all this cost? See, they don't take, you know, it's just crazy. Most of this has gone up more than likely for free anyway, do you know what I mean? Because they control the deaf industry, do you know what I mean? They only get money off the profane. They help themselves, their brothers, you see. The wealth is just astronomical. They don't need to, you know, have money for their burials because they bury themselves, and they all say, oh, we chip in and that. But the more importance you've got, the bigger the granite, the bigger the old, I can't remember what they call it, the obelisks, the bigger the obelisks, you know what I mean? You know, I mean, we're in a Masonic graveyard, basically, for all the Freemasons. You know, 1828. So how many profane peasants do you think that were working in shops are buried in here? Look at the granite, look. All the wealth they've put into this. Look at that, you know. Then you got, look, there's a lot of pharaohs here. You know, oh, God, on, mate. This is crazy. Look what they've done here. Watch this. It's amazing. He was a surgeon, look. See? A Freemason, because they're all your doctors. That was in 1870. See? Now what does that tell you there? The all-seeing eye, the point within the circle, look. It's the 9 steps in Masonry, look. The 9 steps, look. Because that is 2, 3, 2, which is a subtotal of 7. The G's in the middle, 7, 8, 9. The 9 steps in Freemasonry. Then you got your 3 circles for the square. See, 1 circle, 2 circle, 3 circle. It's also the Omega sign for the beginning. And you get the square and compass with the all-seeing eye. And then you got your Masonic urn at the top. See? Again, well, we got 3 sun hieroglyphs, look. 3 sun hieroglyphs. See, look, but they're also, remember, 3 circles. 3 circles make a square. And these little points here, look, is the point within each circle. And then you get the pyramids, you see. You know, look, that's Egyptian, isn't it? Or is that could that possibly a profane person be buried in some of this? You know what I mean? But this would have been well guarded. This would have had coffin guns and things like that, you know. 1819, look, you see. Look at all that granite they took with them. If they paid for it, let's just say they did pay for it, and it's a lot of money they've took to the grave with them in it. You know what I mean? But you can see all this. Look, they're not these obelisks. They're all pharaohs. You know, they're all the wrong uns that have done all the corruption throughout history. You know, look, the flower pot. Look, but each thing means something different. Like the flower pots with the drapery over it. You know, but this is where it all comes on. They still own it all. You know, look, all these grave sites, you know, do you think the piss poor live in here, the profane? There's no profane person in here. It's royals, lords, dukes and earls. Yeah, and they took it all away with them. Yeah. They honour themselves. You imagine how many profane have died and had not one gravestone. You know what I mean? Look, 3 pyramids. Oh, baby. You know? And I'm sure if I went around enough I could find the Masonic square and calm piss all over it, you know what I mean? But look, all these obelisks, look, just standing here with the Masonic urns explains a lot, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean? And the perverse people we're living in within society that place a lot of money on this, you know. I'm going to steal all the wealth that I can because I'm going to get a lump of granite on my stone, on my body. Look, you know, it's nothing. Look, it's in all your towns. It's all in your cities. You know what I mean? The circle within. Look, where is it? Oh, yeah, I can't see it there. That one there. Look, you see the circle within the pyramid. You see? Oh, it's wonderful, isn't it?
Yes.
But what can you understand? I don't understand. What I'm trying to work out is why there's all these obelisks. Because we're not in Egypt.
I don't know what they are for.
I do. That's where the pharaohs from Egypt are buried. The lords, the dukes and the earls and the lairds. They're the ones that stabbed all the peasants, took the wealth, and that's how they could afford the grave sites, you see. Or do you think someone working in a shop or shoveling the horse manure in the stables could afford this? See, we're in the royals, you know, the top elites graveyard. Just lords, dukes and earls, that's what they are, look. And the more granite they got, the more wealth they had serving the palace. You see what I mean? And they're still alive today, they still do it, you know. You see the square and compass on that one? You see the one with the flower pot, look? There. You see the square and compass, look? And it's the all-seeing eye in the middle of it, you see? Are you on the square, guys? No? Oh, see, that means Freemasons. Stand on the square, you see?
Okay.
You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, it's all squares and compasses and pyramids. That's why there's a pyramid on each obelisk, you see? Square, compass, pyramid. Remember that, baby.
Okay.
You're the best of the best. Remember, I love you both because you're profane.
I came from tonight.
Oh, right. Oh, cool. Oh, all right. Beautiful. I love you. Oh, I love you so much you wouldn't believe it. Just because you're profane. You know what I mean? Look, 1880, look. The circles, the pyramids and the squares. Beautiful. Wonderful. What was he? Let's see what his profession was. Oh, he was a writer to the signet. What is a friggin' signet? Was he a signet ring? They do a lot of ring piece, don't they, these Freemasons? What is a signet? I'll have to find that out. I'll have to look it up. You know what I mean? A signet. I don't know what a signet is. He was a writer to the signet. You know. But again, these places here, 1828. You know, all Masonic, 1859. Look, do you think all this granite that built all this was for nothing? 1838. Look. No one remembers them. Who are they? No one knows. No one cares. Obviously, their family do. They still more than likely know them, or has their family gone? You know. But again, look, you can see the three circles. Look, three circles make a square. It tells me it's Masonic. You know, built by the Freemasons. You know, but they ain't putting all these obelisks in here because it's a fun thing to do. And they're not having all these pyramids here. I can't see again. So with all these all-seeing eyes. You know, what the hell is going on? Look, all these obelisks, you see, look, it's the Pharaohs, it's the kings we're dealing with here. Oh, look at that, it's crazy. I don't know why I get these people in. Wait there you go. See, look, David McIntyre, his grandson died aged 9 years. Oh, that's, you know, again, very important grandson. You know, enough to put him in the ground because he was royal. You know, here, look. The burying place of Strachan, and again I can't Cantaloupe Mill. Three of Hull sons died young. 3 sons died young. You know what I mean? And the grandsons and whatever else by the look of it. But again, you know, someone was dying because of the sacrifice, the ritual, and they say, you know, he died or he passed away, but in they're sacrificing their family members. Remember that. You know, it's just not a simple, you know, someone dies, they're murdering them on a ritualistic basis for their god, Lucifer. Remember that, you know, when people die, the children, don't just think they died of natural causes, they're sacrificing. You know, and I keep forgetting what the broken column is in Freemasonry, you'll have to look. But it looks like he's got an artist easel there, so he was an artist, whoever this guy was, erected by a few friends. So the friends that erected that would have been Freemasons, or would you pour that amount of wealth in? Do you see what I mean? And then we've got Alexander, someone there, very important. Again, these are all stripped away. It's really sad to see, really. But he's got the sun hieroglyph here, look. You know, welcome to Edinburgh New Calton Cemetery, where all the Freemasons, the lords, the dukes and the earls have been buried for centuries. Oh my God. It's alright, I thought that was a big square campus in the centre there. But this is what you're dealing with. These are lords, dukes and earls. You know, look, big old flower pot on the top of that. You know what I mean? Look. How much money do you think went into that? Do you see what I'm saying? Look, all of this, look. All these grave sites, all these stones, yeah? Does it mean anything today? No. All they did was bury themselves with their wealth, and all them people they made miserable and sad. Do you know what I mean? Not good, is it? Again, here, you know what I mean? Morning, have a great day. I think he was one of them that is a man but dresses as a girl. That's why he didn't speak to me. It was a girl or a boy, I don't know what it was, to be honest. I think it was a man dressed as a woman, but anyway, I don't care. Again, look, you've got the 3 points, and then you've got your 3 points here, and then when you do it, what do you get? You get this, you know, when you put the lines in, you get that special little star of today. We know this is two pyramids, as above so below, pyramids, and it make that special star, which is within the circle, which is also within the circle, and then when you square these points off here like that, look, it makes the square. So the square, the circle is within the square. See, and then right in the centerpiece you've got the 3 degrees or the 33 degrees, but it makes that special J square, if you know what I mean, what I'm on about. You know, but this is all Masonic, look, it's all Masonic. Even this one, look, you see, to make sure we get that point, look, that point within the circle, and then these are the squares. Is square it off, it's the square within the circle, but it's the 5 points, look, 5 points. What's 5 points? 2, 3, 2. What is 2, 3, 2? The Masonic cube. And once again, look what they've done. Oh, they're so clever. Look, this is the square and compass. Yeah, you can see that. It's quite plain to see, yeah, that this is the square and compass. But look what they've done, look. They've put the point within the square and compass, look. See? They put the point in. But that's what that is. And then you've got your fish, look. So if I move this and block this away, that you've got that little fish what I go on about. You see, look, that's the Masonic fish. See? I forget what it represents, but that's their little fish, look, you see? That's the fish sign. I can't remember, like the mitre or something, I can't remember, but that's what that is. That's the little fish sign. And then you've got the square and compass, look, with the all seeing eye in. That's all it is. But when you square it off, look, the square, yeah, you square it off, it puts the circle within the square, and then you've got the point within the circle. But it's also the 5 points, which is 2, 3, 2. Which makes the Masonic cube, and we know what the Masonic cube makes, don't we, my profane friends? And here's the Masonic lodge here, look, because they need the protection to protect the graveyard, because they're all buried with their wealth. You know what I mean? Yeah, look at that, look. Oh baby. But that's what it's all about, my profane friends. The wealth and the power needed to be protected, because those special little Freemasons control the police. And they pay their brotherhoods. That would have been like Master Masons, entered apprentices. They'd have been patrolling the graveyard or the grave site. I'll see if I can get in there actually. I'll have a look. It looks like we can. I'll go round. Hello, morning. Have a great day. Must have had a wee or something, I don't know. But yeah, there it is. These sites here. There's power. Fleur de Pis, look. Who do you think bought all this? Look, John Wilde. You know what I mean? 1880, died at aged 8 years old. And then Marion Wilde died of aged 85, 65. But the child is dodgy, I think. You know what I mean? I always think, you know, it was easy to murder people back then. 3 X's, look, for shh. Again, it makes a 666. I don't know if that's a proper thing or not. And so this is the Royal Terrace here, yeah? Don't know what he's doing in here. But he come out of here, or she did. More than likely had a piss. But I can't see no piss stains anywhere, do you know what I mean? And it isn't wet anywhere, so whatever they were doing, I don't know. Might have been a drug pickup, because that's what they do, don't they? Leave the drugs here and they come and pick it up. But again, look, you've got the circles, you've got the square, you've got the 4 pyramids, and you've got 2, 3, 2, because it puts that Masonic cube in the middle, which is 6. And then you've got the point here, look. The point within the circle, and then that's within. Oh, you know what I mean? It's so obvious that everything is run by freaktard Masons, yeah. And hopefully, again, this is a very powerful family here. You know what I mean? Because as you can see there, and I don't know if it's true or not, you've got the Masonic cubes. Oh look, that's what it was. There was a Masonic pigeon. Look, he was more than likely trying to mate with it or something. There you go. Go on in. Silly Masonic pigeon. Anyway, oh, there's another graveyard over there. Look, bloody marvellous, isn't it? But this is all Masonic. That's what we're dealing with. Freemasons 101. Well, let me have a look. I just want to read this here. Make it back. The burning ground of Robert Stoddart, Queen Street, and James Weil, Royal Terrace, whatever that means. Robert Stoddart, Esquire. See, he's a squire. See, they're all lords and dukes. She died aged 6, 51, 61. Some live to a right old age on here, look. But they have the odd one there, look, which is a bit young. You know what I mean? Aged 6. And then you've got one over there, which is aged 8. You see? Because they sacrificed their children to the one-eyed god of Lucifer. But that's what you're dealing with. You know what I mean, my profane friends? These little freaktards are everywhere. You know, and it goes back decades and centuries. I mean, just look at this. Let me just go up here and show you. Oh, God. Oh, I'm in agony. Oh, let me just walk along here. Sacred to the memory of John Thynne. Yeah, it's got a heart within the, but it's a circle basically. But anyway, we're not onto that. There's lots of stuff missing off these graveyards, but look at that, right down there. Look. I think I did go down there, didn't I? I don't know. Or is that a separate piece? No, it's another piece, I think, to the great. No, it is. Oh no, I did show you that. Yeah, that's okay. But all this, look, it's all favoured ground of the Freemasons. But a lot of stuff has been taken away from there. Look, you can see, look, you know, so there was a lot of decoration on these grave sites, which would have been there. And I presume, you know, sometimes the council or the Freemasons themselves take it away because there's value in metal. So the metal could have been taken for the war, for instance. Yeah, you know, we need the war to make, you know, to make armaments or something like that, so they might have come to the graveyard and took it, you know, when they took all the bells, you see what I mean? So that could have been part of the reason why half the rails in this graveyard are all disappeared, you see. Look at this side. But do you think someone peasant lives there? Do you think someone working in a silly little factory or shoveling poo has built all these? No. The Profane go into little, you know what I mean? Look at this sarcophagus. I mean, how much do you reckon that would cost? And again, we've got the, oh, let me spec. Again, look, we've got the circle, the point within the circle, and then if you square this off, look, it makes the square, circle. You know what I mean? Oh, baby, pure Masonic. You know what I mean? Hello, how are you? I blame the Freemasons, you know what I mean? That's why everyone's dead in there, mate. You got to watch them, they're lethal. Look at all these obelisks, look, see? Pure Masonic, you know what I mean? Cool, smoking dope. I don't like that. It's got the all-seeing eye on, it's amazing. Let's see if I can get a picture of it. Oh no, they might get offended though, I don't like doing that. Let me go in here. Ooh, look at that monstrosity there. Look. God, it smells people smoking that dope. Again, it's Rome, isn't it? Look, see the circles on it? The squares and the perversion, because when you look from above it's a circle within a circle, yeah, and then you can see these little outy points here that make the St. George's Cross, but that's also the square with the circle. That's what that is. You know what I mean? Squares, circles and pyramids. Now how do you get into there? Oh look, someone's got a sleeping bag here. Look. Ah, you go this way. Look at that. See all them? Now I'm on the churches over there, but just standing here, look, can you see it? Look, the wealth and the power. Let me see. See them pyramids? Look, with the world domination ball on. Look. Let's go slow. Hopefully you can see them. But it tells me how many pyramids can you see from here. It's just mad, isn't it? Well, let's go in here. Let's have a look. Hopefully someone's living here and they've got a home, because it looked like they've got a campsite, which is nice, isn't it? Yeah, people are living here. That's a good thing. You know what I mean? But I can't get up into that. So hopefully someone's sort of made a good home, but someone shouldn't be living here. You know what I mean? Because they should have their own house, their own home, you know? A place to call their own. See, again, they've overgrown it so you can't get into that little tower. You know what I mean? So I can't get in there, my profane friends, I'm sorry. And no way I can do it with my sciatica in my arse cheek. I'm just in agony. You won't believe the agony I'm in, believe it or not. But I hope someone's found a little home in there, you know. They deserve it. Everyone deserves a home, regardless. You know, but I can't get in there, I don't know. The steps go round and I can't get in. But that's the graveyard. I've shown enough just to show the point that these Freemasons own it all. Look, even here, I've just come out of there, look. I mean, can you see it just through the trees, hopefully, look. What's that, the Roman Colosseum? I'll go up there and I'll have a look, I'll see what it is and I'll give you a butch at it. I'll turn the camera off for now, my profane friends. Like I said, these Freemasons are lethal. You know what I mean? Have a great day.